Story structure. I know I've been talking about it for a few weeks, and you're like, I'm so over this subject, Sharon. But there's only one more plot point to discuss, and that is the second plot point of your story. And it's an important one because it opens the door into the final act of your story where all the action culminates and everything comes together so that your reader will walk away satisfied. What is the second plot point? Well, I went and searched this and looked at a bunch of things because I recall this being a confusing thing for me, just kind of like the dark black moment was. Well, why? Because one definition says this is the moment of the highest intensity in your story. Oh, this is a low point for your protagonist. This is when you give him the last piece of key information. This is the beginning of the end. This is the point where your character is urged forward to finally finish things. Okay, so is it the high point, the low point, the key information point? And I will tell you that I have learned to discern what it is not in order to say what it is. So that's what we're going to talk about today. The final plot point. The second plot point is the final turning point in your story. Just like the first plot point was the first turning point. Remember how that was the doorway into the second act, where they decided, I'm going to pursue the story question. I'm going to step out of my normal world to answer this story question, go on this quest, solve this problem, whatever it was based on your story. So this second plot point, you have had all this. The second act has happened now, and now it's the final turning point. It's another door, another point of no return. And it is where your character, after having their black moment that we talked about a few weeks ago, which is the lowest point for them, they decide, no, I am going to fight this battle, answer this question, go forward, do this thing. Even though I might still believe I can't do it, but they've had their epiphany, which we talked about last time, that made them go, wait, if my lie is false, if my fear is not real, I can do this thing. So I'm going to try. I'm going to do it. And immediately after this is the climax of your story. That part, that high point that we all learned to graph back in literature classes back in high school, right? And it's where the final battle happens between your good guy and your bad guy, if you have those in your story. It is where your character faces their fear. They are going to have to face their greatest fear. It is going to come true in that final battle, in that final scene, in that what they're facing down. That is what they're facing here in the final battle. So they're facing that fear. So if you're not writing an adventure or a fantasy or something that actually has a real battle scene, okay, but it's more of a interpersonal struggle or a struggle against a more minor outer force, they are facing down their fear. That is what the real battle is about in this climactic scene, okay? And what they learn is that the truth of who they really are, what they're really facing, will destroy the lie. So the second plot point, it could be the climax. In some stories, remember the black moment, the epiphany, and the second turning, the final turning point happened, boom, 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 in the same scene, in the same chapter, okay? But sometimes they're more drawn out, you know, depending on the genre you're writing. I am writing women's fiction. So if you have questions about the final turning point, please drop them in the comments below. If you have some insight about the final plot point, I want to hear it. Drop it in the comments below. And of course, if you're looking for a writing community, you're always welcome to join Write Your Book Nook. And that link is also, you guessed it, in the description below this video.